Hello and welcome back to The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany and I'm your host. Today we're going to be making one of the things that I think my mother might kill me for putting on the internet. It's my grandmother's potato salad. This is 4th of July weekend, and typically we would have potato salad with barbecue pork steaks, brats, stuff like that. We also had it at Easter with ham, and we would have it anytime Grandma made fried chicken. And there's a reason for that. One of the secret ingredients is bacon grease. So anytime that she made this potato salad, she would make an entire pound of bacon, and she would split that between the potato salad and the green beans. And I'll show you how in a few minutes. So today we are doing that. It is not a vegan recipe. You can definitely leave the bacon and the bacon grease out to make it that, or to at least make it vegetarian, because we are using mayo as well. There are no raisins in potato salad, so this is not a part of the Caucasity cookbook. But it is definitely part of the Austin family cookbook, and Williams as it extends out into the family. So let's get into the potato salad recipe. So let's go over our ingredients. For this recipe, you are going to need a very large bowl. Now, in our family, my mother has the official potato salad bowl, which is a gray and yellow Tupperware-looking container that has a push-button lid. That container has only been used to make potato salad, and if anybody put anything else in it, I think the family might revolt. So when I got married, I bought one of these large Tupperware containers, and the only thing that has gone in this is potato salad. Plastic can hold flavors and smells and things, so if you put something else in it, it may affect the flavor of your potato salad. Now, if you're using ceramic or glass, it probably won't make a difference, but with plastic, it definitely does. So the only thing that goes in this container is potato salad. Now, in addition to my container, I also have mayo, and I have 2 containers here because this one is just about out, so I'm going to use the rest of it before I bust into the new one. I also have yellow mustard. I have 2 stalks of celery that have been diced up. I have 1 medium white onion that has been diced up. My grandmother grated hers, but I don't have that kind of time, so it's diced up. We have white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, bacon with bacon grease. We have 3 hard-boiled eggs that have been diced up. We have salt and pepper, and then our potatoes. Now, we use red potatoes, and they need to be peeled and then boiled. But when I boil them, I like to cut mine into 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick slices, so that when I boil them, if I mess up the timing on my potatoes, then I can always lay them flat, let them dry and cool, so they can come back to the texture that I want. And I've already done most of mine. This was just an example potato for you. So those are our ingredients. Let's go ahead and get into it. My potatoes have been cooking already. They are getting ready to cool, but let's make the sauce. Okay, for our sauce, we're going to start with our mayo. You can use mayo, you can use Miracle Whip. I'm going to be using what I have, which is part light mayonnaise from Aldi's and part regular mayonnaise from Aldi's. But you need 1.5 cups. I'm going to eyeball it, because when my grandmother made this, she rarely used measurements, which is why it took us 7.5 years to figure out exactly what her recipe was. There was a whole lot of taste testing and what is this missing to get it. Okay. Next up, we're going to use the yellow mustard from Aldi's, and we need 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard. So what I'm going to do, shake it up first, because you never know how long it's been sitting. I'm just going to squirt about 2 tablespoons in there. Next up, we're going to need our white vinegar. We need 1/4 cup of distilled white vinegar. So I have my 1/4 cup. Put that in there. And then you need a half a cup of water. I'm just going to use my quarter cup twice. So that is 1 and 2. And later on, if you need a little bit more water, you can definitely add that. Okay. Next, I'm going to add my white onion. And this is a whole medium white onion that has been diced up. Add that. I have 2 stalks of celery that have been diced up. Add that. I have hard-boiled egg that I cooked with the potatoes. So while my potatoes were boiling, I put my eggs in there, and then I set a timer for 10.5 minutes to get the yolk, the color, and consistency that I wanted. 3 of those. We have pepper, and it's just to taste. I'm going to put probably a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of black pepper. We're going to do a couple of twists of our salt grinder. You can definitely leave that out. My grandmother always put a ton of salt in hers. This is definitely less than what she put in, but it doesn't make a whole lot of difference there. We have our bacon. Now, my package of bacon, what I like to do when I cook it is I like to cut the strips in half. That way I can fry it in a cast iron and nothing ends up being too crispy. This should crumble in your hand. So I'm going to take a couple of slices, crumble that in there. If you have one that's a little chewier, you may have to tear it up a little bit. And I'm going to do probably half a pack of bacon, so about 6 to 8 slices, depending on your pack. And the other half she would put in her green beans or snacking bacon, because if you're making bacon, you're going to eat a piece or two. So a lot of hers would end up either in the potato salad or in the green beans. I've already had my snacking bacon, so I'm going to put all of this in. Just make sure that the pieces don't end up too big. Like that is too big, so tear that in half. Okay, and wash your hands. Now, the last thing that we're going to add to our potato salad is the bacon grease. We do 2 tablespoons of bacon grease. Let me grab a tablespoon. And when I say tablespoon, I mean a large spoon. She didn't really measure this. She just kind of put it in. Now, my cast iron is no longer hot from making the bacon, but the grease is still liquid. So I'm going to add 1 and 2. And that's all. And we're going to give that a good mix. Now, if you have the proper size bowl, you should be able to do 5 pounds of potato salad in the container. Mine is not a proper size bowl, so mine will not hold that much. However, I have 2 of these, and that will hold the right amount. This amount of sauce, though, is for the 5 pounds. And when it is properly mixed, it should be a light yellow consistency. It should be liquidy but not runny. If it gets too thick, you can always add a little bit of water to it. The potatoes, when you add them, will soak up some of that moisture as well. Okay. So we have a light yellow consistency, not too liquidy, not too runny, but also not too thick. And this will be divided in half across 2 of my containers for 5 pounds of potato salad. And while I wait for my potatoes to cool so that I can dice them up, I'm going to put the sauce in the fridge in just the 1 container so that it can be cold when I add my potatoes to it. You don't want a warm sauce and warm potatoes. It does something funny to the texture. You want cool potatoes and cool sauce. So to the fridge it goes. Okay, so our potatoes have cooled, and our sauce has been resting in the fridge, and I've already gone ahead and added some potatoes to it. So I'm going to take my slices of potato, and I'm going to take a couple of slices at a time so that it goes a little bit faster, and I'm going to dice them. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut them into strips first, and then a dice. And I'm doing about a 1/2-inch dice, sometimes a little smaller depending on where it's at on the ends. And each time that I put it in, I'm going to spread the potato pieces out across my sauce. And I want to separate each chunk of potato. That way it gets individually coated in the sauce, because you don't want it sticking together. And I always mistime my potatoes when I cook them, so I like to let them cool and kind of solidify again before I put them in. That way I don't end up with mashed potato salad. If they're too warm when they go in and too soft, then they'll just end up mushing and it won't come out right. So I'm going to do my last little bit and just spreading that out. And as I coat the top of this with potato, then I'm going to mix it up together and coat it before I add another layer. So this will probably be the last layer before I mix it up. You just want to make sure that nothing is sticking together so that the sauce can get all over that. Just give it a good mix. Got everything coated in that sauce. Okay, and this is about all that my bowl will contain, so I'm going to save the leftover potato pieces for a different recipe, or just add it to it later when I have sauce left, but no more potatoes left. So our final ingredient that I didn't mention earlier is actually ground paprika. I ran out and I had to shoot across the street to my neighbor, so thank you, Jim, for the paprika. And you're going to take that and you're going to just sprinkle right over top, but very generously. I don't have a shaker top, so I'm going to use my fingers. But you want a nice sprinkle all over everything. And that is our potato salad. This was my grandmother's recipe. It took us 7.5 years to figure out what it was, or at least the measurements. We all knew the ingredients, but we didn't know what the measurements were. So this is going to go in the fridge, minimum 30 minutes to sit in the fridge and marinate in those flavors. It's best to do it overnight so that it has time to really soak up the flavors. So those potatoes just soak up all of that flavor. And if the texture comes out too thick whenever you open it up, just add just a little bit of water, and that can help thin it out a little bit. You don't want it too thick so that it's gloopy, but you don't want it runny either. It's like a fine line to walk. So that recipe had mayo, mustard, white vinegar. It had 5 pounds of red potatoes, although I didn't use all 5 pounds. I've probably got about a pound left, so 4 pounds. We used 2 celery stalks, 1 medium white onion, bacon. We used bacon grease as our secret ingredient with salt and pepper, just to give it that little bit of extra. And then paprika to top. So feel free to make it on your own. Feel free to make it your own, but please don't add grapes or raisins. That's weird. Stay out of the Cookassity cookbook, but make a good potato salad. I hope you've enjoyed our episode. Thank you for coming to The Single Cook. I hope you'll come back and see us. Like and subscribe for more videos, and hit that notification bell if you want to see whenever I post again. So thank you for watching.